Hi, ladies. Welcome to another episode of the Femalepreneur Coach podcast. I am your host, Rebecca Barr, and I'm super excited to be sharing a bit of a one-off episode today, which is all around my reflections from my recent trip to Mallorca, Spain, with my children, which has been truly transformational for me. And I'm super excited. I had lots of questions on Instagram, on Facebook, like, what are you doing? What's going on? Like, your pictures look amazing. And genuinely, I was just saying in the Facebook group, like, it's such a period of transformation for me that I really feel like I need to share. One thing I love about the podcast is that it is that behind the scenes, as well as like 10 ways to do this, 5 ways to do this. It's the whole thing. So I'm super excited to be sharing this with you. And I kind of summarized a few things that I was like, what were my reflections from the trip, so that I could try and get some value from it and some structure for you guys, so that it doesn't just become a I want it to be something useful too, and actionable and things. So first of all, I went on holiday. For anybody that wasn't on my socials, I went on holiday with my kids for a week to a absolutely stunning part of Mallorca, which to me actually was more like Greece, Croatia, like the landscape, the beaches, the cliffs, the boat trips, like the sunshine. It really didn't, it's going to sound awful, but Spain, for me, the association with Spain has been like tacky discos and, very English vibe. This was like the complete opposite of that. It was so beautiful. It was really like authentic Spanish, but it felt more like Greece, Croatia, like the scenery, the landscape. It was just stunning. The water, oh my god, it was amazing. Apart from my poor 10-year-old daughter got stung by a jellyfish, which is a whole different thing. Story in itself. It was just crazy, but it was just such a beautiful time. So obviously I booked this. My sister came. It was just so lovely, because I knew that obviously we're on school holidays right now. I needed that reconnection with the kids. Like, my soul had really been craving travel. One of the things that I hate is that I am an entrepreneur and I get to live this freedom-based lifestyle, but my kids are still very much in school. So we are bound by the time and the dates and the all of the things with the school run, and equally, obviously relying on family and stuff to come and support me with the kids. I knew this has been building, like I needed this time, and I've been documenting along the way, like my journey. I've been feeling this sense of like growth, activation, like more is coming. And I think that's because I've been in business such a long time now. I've been in business over 8 years. I've been coaching for 5 years. And the good thing is for us as human, like spiritual beings having human experiences, is that the work is never done. The growth is never done. There is always a new level. There is always more to come. And that feels really exciting. So I've certainly been feeling that growth, and that kind of shedding even some of my business coaching doesn't necessarily feel aligned to me anymore. It's why I'm currently going through this process of re-recording all of the modules for the Aligned, Empowered and Abundant Academy, and why the 7-figure sisterhood is having an upgrade. And because just as I grow and evolve, and as I continually pour into myself to be that next level version of me, I don't want to just be peddling any old crap that felt really good 2 years ago. I'm always about being in integrity with what I'm selling, and knowing that this feels really great, because everything's energy. I can't sell something that I can't fully get behind. No one told me. But yeah, a lot of the content actually from before is good, but just some of it is like, I want to change my spin on that. I want to change that. I want to upgrade that. I want to expand on that. I want to lean more into this and a little bit less on that, and that's just my integrity and my commitment to the women that I serve, is that genuinely anything I put out there, it is the absolute God's honest truth as I see it right now, because energetically I've got to be aligned to it. So that's what I'm doing behind the scenes. I am re-recording all of the content right now, which has just been such a beautiful, exciting experience, because for me, I can witness the growth. I can go back into modules and be like, I would say it like this right now. And this is also the journey as a manifesting generator as well. So obviously one of the modalities that I use is human design, and really living in alignment with my design. And that is that we will outgrow certain parts of ourselves, and we need to give ourselves creative freedom and permission to continue to expand and evolve into the new versions of ourselves. And that is our path to walk in this lifetime as a manifesting generator, is to just continually be redefining our life path and creating new paths for ourselves. And for me as a coach, it means you will never get bored when you work with me. There is a lot of longevity because I am continually evolving and expanding and doing all the things. So that was the kind of intention behind booking the trip. It's not just a oh, it's the summer, so I'm going to go on a trip. It was a bit like a pilgrimage. It was about creating space. It was about getting out of my environment. And that was one of my first key takeaways, that it really cemented what I already knew in the, just seeing the kids come alive in different ways was really apparent. And it just confirmed that belief that, for me, it's not about, if something's not working, if you always do what you always did, you will always get what you always got. It's about getting yourself out of your environment so that you can create new ways of being, of thinking, of behaving. That was certainly my motivation for me. It's why I always go on retreats every year. It's why I travel for business. It's why I put myself in different rooms, why I have different conversations, so that I can think and act and respond in different ways. But also, because I know that that's what happens for the kids as well. Seeing them really thinking, behaving, acting in different ways was just beautiful to witness. And it's what I love most about traveling. It's not only showing them the world and knowing that they're living a different path to I did as a kid, and hopefully making them better people because they're exposed to different situations, attitudes, thoughts, behaviors, beliefs, like all of the things. They're going to be more well-rounded, more compassionate, more understanding, more high value, like interesting people. That's part of the motivation for me. But it's also seeing what, their essence at its very core, when they don't have PlayStations, when they don't have devices, when they don't have school runs that they don't really want to do, when they aren't forced to eat at certain times, bedtimes at certain times. It's like they get to really flourish and thrive and just get back to who they were meant to be in this lifetime. And I love witnessing that and creating that as a parent. And I just had like a stroke on the back of my head. I always joke that when I get into my podcasts and trainings and recordings, like really that is me and my energy. I don't do a lot of prep for these. It flows, and I'm very intuitively led as a business coach. And whenever I'm really activated in that energy, I always get my spirit guides that come in, and I've had this with clients who are psychic and have seen it on camera. But whenever I'm like really like speaking the truth and feeling really activated, I always get like a little stroke or a something or a pat or just something that lets me know that they're here. And I just love it because I got that right now. So obviously it must be true. That's what I always see that as confirmation that it must be true, that what I'm speaking of is the truth. So before I went on holiday, again, I was reconnecting with a book that I love, which is Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, which is written by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Let me know in the comments if you love that book. But it was really like my first introduction. I was already an NLP practitioner when I listened to that book. That's what drew it to me, because there's two sides to me, right? I'm a Gemini, so I've got two polar opposites where I love the spiritual, the woo-woo, the energy, the high level concepts and the manifestation and all of the things. But I've also got that nerdy version of me that is very grounded in the detail and the why and the how and all of the neuroscience and all of the things. And people love it because I've got the energetic selling where it's just showing up in your best self energy and just speaking your truth and you will make money. But I've also got the very masculine structural side of me that loves the funnels and the email sequences and the text. And I was listening to that book, and it's quite a heavy book, but I just absolutely love it because it confirms all the neuroscience around, we've got 95,000 thoughts in any one day, and we will be playing those on loop and on repeat every single day. And our thoughts create our actions, our beliefs, and therefore our outcomes every day. So it's almost like being a groundhog every single day, and it's done from a place of energy conservation and from just not overwhelming our body. It's prioritizing where our energy needs to go. It needs to go towards like breathing, keeping our organs alive, pumping blood around our body, and essentially survival. So if we had consciously had to think about every bit of stimulus that's coming into our body at every moment of the day, we would probably melt before we even got out of bed in the morning. So therefore our brain will put certain thoughts and habits and processes on autopilot, i.e. create habits. So if it, and equally, it's because it's what's known, this also represents safety to us. If we know that we're doing everything on a rinse and repeat every day, we know the same outcome. No surprises. Nothing's like, no one's going to jump out, no one's going to die, nothing awful is going to happen, and it's a form of control. So I understand entirely why we go through the motions in our lifetime, and therefore why we are in Groundhog Day, and why we are repeating the same old, and how a year can disappear very quickly, and how we can be like, oh my God, even with the baby, so it was my son's birthday while we were out there, and then it was the baby's birthday, like literally the next day. And why women often say like, oh my God, where did that year go? It's because we're sleepwalking through our life, and half of it is like 95% of it is on autopilot, where we aren't consciously aware of what we're doing and the choices we're making and the people that we're surrounding ourselves with and the decisions that we're making and the conversations that we're having and the beliefs that we're continually reinforcing without even realizing that we are, just by being who we are. What I love is that when you get yourself out of your physical environment, it forces you to get out of that state of homeostasis and actually consciously start making decisions and start being an active participant in your life, because we're like, not get out of bed the same way every morning, do the same thing, get in the car, take the same journey, have the same breakfast, make the same routines. It's like suddenly now we've got to think, oh, what are we doing? Where are we going? What is this? Like, what, and you're suddenly awoken, and you're having to create more intentional thoughts and decisions. And that's what I love about getting yourself out of your environment. That's why I love the in-person elements to my business, because I know that those women, just by first of all, the transformations in the transaction, so by them investing in an experience, there's transformation there and growth, but equally by them having to think, oh, where am I going? What am I doing? Who's going to be there? Like they're creating new neural network pathways and connections in their brains. It's going to lead to different thought patterns. It's going to lead to a different outcome. It's going to lead to a different version of themselves. Like that's what gives me life. And that's what I love to engineer intentionally, create those pattern interrupts for myself when I feel like things are getting a little bit stale, or there's something coming and I don't know what it is. So I've got to start thinking, being and behaving in different ways in order to bring that forward. So that for me was what the holiday was. It's also about creating space. So, how can I expect this evolution and this next level self to come through when I've still got to worry about the food shopping and the school runs and whether we've got toilet roll and all of the boring things that, go with being a mum of 5 kids. So, you can't just keep adding more and more to your plate. You have to create capacity and space to allow those downloads to come through. And it's the reason why when I work with a client, the first thing that we do is clear the decks, clear their diaries, so that they actually have space to go away, implement what we're teaching, but also allow a new outcome to come forward. So that's definitely something that I would say is really useful if you're feeling that internal like nudge where it's like there's something else, this isn't it, but what is it? I don't know. Create some space, allow yourself to really explore that, allow yourself permission and space to go and start following those nudges so that you can get to that solution as to what it is. I've also realized as well, so it will certainly just confirm the belief that I already knew about, if you always do what you always did, you will always get what you always got. So if you want a different outcome, you have to create a different reality. And that starts with getting yourself into a different environment, different rooms, surrounded by different people, having different conversations, creating different thought patterns. And that for me was just so beautiful. It was exactly that. And obviously no better way to feel abundant and to live that anything is possible mindset when you're in such a beautiful location. And it was just luxury, it was beautiful, it was amazing, and again just gave me that physical evidence that anything is possible. So equally, my next thing was that time is an illusion. I just had this conversation with a client who was going on holiday tomorrow. They were like, oh, I'm taking my laptop, I'm doing this thing, and I was like, oh, hold up, not on my watch. Because the thing is, time is an illusion. You will tell yourself that if I'm not on socials, if I'm not doing this thing, the world is going to end, the sky is going to fall, my business is going to collapse. And the reality is no one cares and no one is watching. No one is obsessed with you. yes, I believe in attraction marketing and documenting the journey. And absolutely, I was present on my stories to a point, but I wasn't putting pressure on myself to be in my business every day like I would be if I was at home and in work mode. And guess what? Still made money, still made a lot of money, still served my clients, still gave value, still lived my best life, and nothing bad happened. You know, it wasn't like, well, she hasn't posted for a week, so I'm officially unfollowing. Who is she? No, I scheduled out newsletters. I, put planted enough seeds on my stories to keep a presence and to at least meet the universe halfway to be able to receive money. But I'd scheduled out podcast episodes and all the things, but I absolutely did not put pressure on myself to be on my stories and all of the things. Like, quite bad noise. What is the point of being a business owner if you are still under pressure to be on when you really need to be off? That's the thing. Like, business is about rhythm. It's not about balance. It's about knowing when to ebb and when to flow in your business. And that comes from knowing yourself. So for me, I was like, I've paid a lot of money to be on this trip and to have this experience and to give this time with my kids. I am not about to ruin any element of that from a place of scarcity and lack and fear, feeling like if I'm not here, then I'm going to lose track. My audience is going to lose interest and all the things. Because actually what happened was I ebbed away from my business. I maintained what I needed to do. And I did a workshop in a month ago, I think now, maybe a little bit longer, around Summer of Freedom. And that to me is where the summer of freedom comes. It's not about avoiding your business and completely disappearing off the grid and then coming back and being like, hey, I'm back, she's back. It's about knowing when to ebb in your business so that you can energetically retreat, but know that you've got your bases covered. Like, let's be smart business women and still leave ourselves open for business and receiving money and serving our clients, but not feeling that pressure to be on. So when my client was like, oh, I'm taking my laptop, I'm like, hell no, we're not. Because if you need to take your laptop, then you're not really a leader and you're not really a business owner. You're just an employee of a really crappy business that doesn't even let you have any time off. Like, you're not even getting your 20 days statutory holiday. What the hell is the point in that? So I really encourage them to be smart and, make sure that they are getting their non-negotiables done in advance so that they could then just have that beautiful time to retreat. Because what's happened is that my battery recharged. I've come back bigger and better than ever with a mission that is stronger and clearer than ever. And that was the whole purpose of that trip as well. So time is an illusion. When you are hearing these voices that are saying, you've got to be on all the time, just call BS on that and really dig into where is that coming from? Where is it? What am I telling myself that is driving me to feel that need and that pressure to be on all the time? It's why the first thing I did when I came back was upgrade the Aligned, Empowered and Abundant Academy promise. So originally it was going to be for the women that want to make 5K months, but actually, as I am now recording new content, as I'm getting the feedback from the beta testers, as I am that desire to really get out there and serve at that higher level is just growing and growing in me. Do you know what? 5K is no longer going to cut it. It might give you what you need to leave your corporate job, but it's not going to give you, it might, but really I want the women that want more, because that's where true lasting change is going to come from really being able to go all in on your dreams, to be able to create wealth, to be able to never go back to your corporate job again. That comes from those 10K months. Now, it might not be 10K, it might be 7, it might be 8, but I would be massively undervaluing the work that is in that academy and the value of the trainings and the activations and the steps that I take the women through if I just said it could get you to a 5K month. It could get you to fucking 20K months and beyond. So the first thing I did was up level that promise, because I was like, no, I'm underselling the value of what is in here. So obviously for anybody now, the promise is at least 10K months. This level of activation, it now goes into the mastermind. It's for the women that are 6 figures, multi 6 figures. It's the same, because you are the same, and it's the same activation that unleashes your full potential. There is no sky's the limit. There's no sky. The only limit is the one that you are unconsciously placing on yourself. So we need to remove that entirely. So that was the first thing that I did. Time is an illusion. Obviously, again, for me, one thing I feel really passionate about is that you have to be that embodiment of your work. So for me, saying I'm not working, but secretly am, and secretly being from a place of fear. Like, I witnessed so many women when I went to LA last year, frantically by the pool on their laptops, like literally working away from such a place of fear, not trusting themselves, not trusting their team, and then taking these selfies by the pool with a cocktail, like, oh, living this freedom lifestyle, not having to work, money rolling in while I'm on my sun lounger. And all I wanted to do was shout, bullshit. You are such a liar. You are not in integrity with what it is that you are selling. And you're just full of shit. Basically, that's what I wanted to say. And it really annoyed me for their audience. Like, I'm very much a person that one of my core values is justice and being in integrity with what you're selling. And I hated seeing that in LA. I was like, you're everything that's wrong with the coaching space. You're telling people one thing and you're living something very different. You're telling people to let go and practicing that, what you think will sell in terms of manifestation and energetics and being the embodiment of your work, but you're not. You're sitting there crying because your launch is not making 6 figures. You're sitting there frantically from a place of fear on your laptop, but selling this lifestyle where you can make money on your sun lounger without doing a thing. And that really didn't serve me well. And therefore, I cannot be that embodiment. Like, I've got to then be the embodiment of my work. So I did have time off. I was present with the kids. And there is always that temptation, don't get me wrong, as a high achieving woman who has this burning desire to do more, there is always going to be, and also a serial entrepreneur, manifesting generator who can do all the things and is having all of these downloads. It was really frustrating at times. I really had to keep myself in check when I'm like, okay, baby, let me just do that. And I was like, no. When I do that, I am telling myself that if I don't get this down, if I don't do this right now, if this moment passes me by, there will not be more. That is buying into lack. That is buying into this narrative that I don't want to be part of. I believe that the universe is infinite. I believe that the inspiration and the service that I can be to others is infinite. I believe that more ideas will come. I believe that money will come. So for me, like, oh, I need to get this down, that is not me being an embodiment of my work. It's letting that moment pass, knowing that there'll be another moment that comes. It's being present with my kids. It's being intentional with my kids, because ultimately, what is the point otherwise? Like, for me, that's such, I'm not going to say I'm a complete martyr. Everything I do is for my kids. It's, of course it is, but it's also for me and for my soul's potential and my service and lifetime in this world. So, I'm not a complete martyr. It is about the kids, but it's also not about the kids, and it's about me too. So I had to be that embodiment of the work and really keep myself in check with that, because that is that temptation. There is always more we can do as an entrepreneur and as a woman. And it's about reminding myself that just because I can doesn't mean that I should. And it was about reconnecting with the mission and this, what is the point of it anyway? Because the reality is, as an entrepreneur first and a coach second, there is always more ways to make money, and I have other business interests. And if this element of my business no longer feels good and it doesn't feel like it's doing what it needs to do, then why am I doing something for the sake of doing something? So I always like to reconnect and check in with myself, and I'd love to invite you to do the same. There are always easier ways to make money. There are always other opportunities. So if there are parts of your business right now that do not feel good, why are you doing it? I find this a lot, and it's like that corporate mindset. It transfers with us when we move into entrepreneurship, where we create these self-imposed boxes and shoulds and musts and all of those things in our language that, like, who's checking? You work for yourself. You're the boss. You get to do it how you want to. Who gives a shizzle what somebody down the road thinks? Who gives a shizzle what you said a year ago? Like, if it no longer feels aligned and no longer feels good, stop doing it, and it's reconnecting with that vision of what it is that I want to create. You can pivot and change your mind at any damn point. Stop telling yourself you can't, and oh, but I've said this thing, so I can't do it. Who cares? Nobody's watching, nobody cares. You get to, that's the prerogative of being a woman. You get to change your mind and do all the things at any point. But also, so reconnecting with that. What am I even doing this for anyway? What is the mission? Every time I do that, I move the goalposts a little bit more, because that's what happens when you're making your goals and setting your vision right now. You're only as big as where, your vision right now and what is within your immediate environment. In a week's time, when you've started to execute on some of those things and you started to have some lived experience, guess what? That goalpost will move, and it should move, because as you grow, expand, and learn and become that embodiment of your work and live that wisdom that you're creating with the everyday daily tasks, it should continue to expand. That's the beauty of it. We're never going to be done. We're never going to be finished. And that's something that I've really had to understand, because I'm a person who loves a list, and it's like my list never goes down, because as one thing comes off, I replace it with something else. And I've realized that rather than seeing like, oh, I've always got so much to do, it's like, it's just this beautiful cycle, this beautiful like energy flow of one in, one out. And that's been like a little reframe that needed to happen for me, because I love the satisfaction of ticking things off a list. But the reality is you're never going to get to the end of that list. And if you do, then something's wrong. Like, you're not connecting to what's next, the infinite flow of things that could replace that thing. So I guess my main takeaways were around, getting yourself out of your environment is so important. Time is an illusion. Being the embodiment of your work, and always ensuring that you're reconnecting with the highest possible version of your vision. I've written down transformation, but I can't remember what I was talking about with that. But what I would say is that I just loved it. It was so beautiful. It's made me instantly want to come back and book something else, as it always does. So I've already got my next trip planned with kids, because it's absolute gold. That to me is worth, that level of activation is worth so much more than anything that, any good book, any thought-provoking conversation, although it kind of all feeds in together, so no one thing is better than another. But you will get such rapid transformation from getting yourself out of your physical environment. If you can't afford a holiday, or it's not a good time, then it's about just giving yourself intentional space and time. This is why I always have my monthly CEO dates. I take myself away, I get away from my desk, and just really get out of my environment. And hopefully there's these little mini shifts that you can do just in the everyday. It's not about the big expensive trips planning 12 months. It's about, something doesn't feel good, I need to shift some energy, I need to connect deeper with this. How do I get myself out of my environment in order to do that? That's the power of these things. But it was amazing, and I definitely recommend anybody to go. I've never really thought about Mallorca as a destination, but it was amazing, and I absolutely loved it. So those are my little downloads and reflections from Mallorca. If you want anything, recommendations leading into any questions, please let me know. If you are listening to this podcast, what I have also loved is that I've had so much feedback recently. I always listen. As a manifesting generator, I'm always here to respond to whatever the universe is telling me. So the fact that I'm getting so many incredible reviews and really feeling that call to lean into this medium and this way of serving my clients, because it's me in my element, and getting the stroke on my hair and all of the things is just confirmation from the universe that this is what I need to be doing. Please make sure that you are commenting, that you are subscribing, that you are sharing this podcast, because that really enables me to support more women with what I am ultimately here to do. And it really feels amazing to be getting that confirmation. So please make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, do all the things. Let me know. I love to do this in collaboration. So if you've got any questions, want me to expand on anything, let me know as well. And I hope that you are having the best day, and let me know where you are going on your holidays or your trips